Walter deBrouwer is the curator of TED AI San Francisco. That is a conference focused entirely on the topic of, as you might surmise, artificial intelligence. He interacts daily with the men and women who are leading the world across the great frontier of large language models and artificial intelligence. He spends his days and nights contemplating how AI will transform business, industry, society, politics, culture, and communities. What are the risks and possibilities of AI? There's no one better to tell us than Walter deBrouwer. It's all yours. Have fun.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to do an experiment with you. That is, so my idea was to tell you everything that's going on in AI in a very short budget of time. You know, sort of 10 years of Stanford in 20 minutes. And I'd like to start with a story about black holes. In the 80s, suddenly a black hole became common knowledge. You know, everyone talked about it. And people understood that it was the death of a star, a massive star, bigger than our sun. When the star dies, because it runs out of fuel for its nuclear reactor, it becomes very dense. Such a density and it was called, in the middle of all that density, a singularity. And it had a gravitational pull. It pulled everything into its blackness and its density. And there was this boundary around it called the event horizon. And Stephen Hawking said, when you go over that boundary, once you are over there, there is no way back. There is no return, because you are then in the universe of the black hole. Now, Vernon Vinge was a sci-fi author. In 1987, he wrote an interesting story that actually not only is about the black hole, but also about acceleration and time and what we are experiencing today. It was about a society of technologists who adored their scientists and their engineers. And haste was a virtue, and speed was celebrated. And every 5 years, they had a paradigm shift. And one day they had a celebration, because now for 2 years in a row, every year, they had a paradigm shift. And all the other scientists started to look in their disciplines, because they also wanted to have a paradigm shift. So suddenly, every 6 months there was a paradigm shift. And then every month there was a paradigm shift, every week. And then there were 3 paradigm shifts per day. And then suddenly, a blinding light of enormous lumens, you know, invaded the planet. And when the people could see again, all their scientists had disappeared. And they were left in a world they barely understood how it worked. The only thing that they sensed was a gravitational pull. And they didn't know what that pull meant. So they started to attach religious values to it. So that perhaps it was their scientists that wanted to reunite them with them. And so you see where I'm going to, you know, the acceleration that we are now witnessing. So I'm in the field for a very long time. In 2023, I had read more articles on AI than I had read the 20 years before that. In 2024, I had read more articles than in 2023. And now it's 2025, and it's only 2 months, and I've already read half of the articles of 2024. So it goes on and on and on. But luckily, I have my AIs, and I trained them well, I fine-tuned them, and now we can actually read these articles together and argue about it. It's a lot more fun we are no longer existentially alone here, you know. If we, you know, we also have an inner voice, or 50% of us. But now that we have an AI where we can talk to and argue with, I think that's phenomenal. And why is this, although we can predict so much, why can we not predict what is going to happen in the next 10 years? Well, because of these three technologies, you know, AI, blockchains, and something we call the metaverse, or spatial computing. But today we're only going to do about AI. The marginal cost of AI is asymptotically going to zero. And we don't know how an economy works, where your marginal cost, which is the total cost divided by the total quantity, you know, if your product costs almost nothing, or machine epsilon, you know, so many decimals after the comma that it is almost for free. How does an economy work like that? And then you have blockchains that do the transactions and a spatial universe, because we have to replace the internet. I was part of the teams that were making the internet, but our mission was to make something fast and cheap for 5 years. So we've now been dragging it along as a legacy infrastructure. We have to build a new one. So that's our problem now. So when people ask me, like, how do I start this? So should I go back to school? Should I learn about AI? I tell them, like, just buy consumer stuff with AI in and start there. You know, you can buy your Wayfarer, which is a $300 Ray-Ban with Meta AI in. You can try it out. Your connection, you know, you should certainly sign up for Starlink T-Mobile, because the AI in your phone will then basically allocate the right spectrum and the right connection. You will have Wi-Fi, you will have LTE, 5G, and you will have satellite. And you have to choose an AI you feel good with, and I'm coming back to that. Or you can just download Pocket Pal, and you know, you can put everything from AI on your phone. Then you don't need Wi-Fi, you don't need connection, you know, just put it on there. And I've seen, you know, in Florida, it's in California, everyone has Tesla, you know, like, and it's also, I don't drive, my wife drives, but I can actually enjoy the software while she's driving. The fact that there is so much AI in that car, and I'm also coming back to that. So, you know, it's almost, you know, you are losing an opportunity not to have an electric vehicle now, because this is certainly, we are not going to drive our cars in 5 years from now. And it may be, you know, like incredible to believe, but that is a fact. A robot, I'm going to order my first robot. I'm going to take the Unitree G1, it's a humanoid one. It mimics you. We can now buy it for $16,000, now with a tariff, $20,000. And so I'm going to start trying it out, because in 3 years' time, we will have the same amount of robots and iPhones. That's the prediction. Like, it's amazing, in 3 years' time, you know, like, well, let's say 4 or 5 years, but in 3 years' time, we will not have the same as iPhones, but humanoid robots will be everywhere. They can lift things. We will not have to carry our shoppings anymore, you know, like they will mimic things that we do. We will peel our potatoes, they will do it also. It's amazing that we can have that. And then, you know, I'm going to order a drone also, the Magic Pro. It's a professional one. It's a throwaway, you know, like you throw the drone. You hear something at night in your garden. Well, you just throw the drone, and it has night vision, and you see, and It also has thermal. It sees what has blood, means humans or coyotes. This is an interesting slide for me, because for 20 years I've been obsessed with this generation, the generation that is born now in 2025, because everything points, all what we have done on technology points to this generation. This generation will inherit everything. Now, I'm a baby boomer. Our generation started in 1950. My parents came out of a war. Their parents came out of 2 world wars. So these people basically were exhausted. They said, here's the future. Do something with it. And, we took it literally. We took the future. And of course, we never gave it back, but we will be extinct in 2050. It's all going to be okay. So then my wife is Generation X. So they did not know a world without TV. We didn't know a world without war, because our parents had and our grandparents had a very special relationship with food. Everyone had to eat everything all the time. Gen Y, our oldest son, is digital native. He doesn't know a world without a PlayStation, without a Discman, without CDs. Our younger son is Gen Z. He doesn't know a world without internet. And Alpha, they don't know a world without iPhones. They're called Generation Glass. And now, Beta generation. They are born and they will not know a world without AI. And that is phenomenal. If you have teenagers barely listen to you, but if they have AIs, so we're in for an interesting surprise, I think. First of all, I think they will have a cosmic mission. By then, the planet will be a calculator, and they will think that they have to go to other planets to also make it into a calculator and to connect these calculators. They will not believe in ownership, they will believe in usership. They will have crypto wallets. They will have edited genomes. Edited genomes in the sense of CRISPR genomes. They're probably, so according to my students, the liver would be easy to in vivo CRISPR it, and the lungs we could inhale CRISPR. They will have brain-machine interfaces. Probably transnasal surgery will allow us to go to find an anatomic hole here to the brain, to expand the brain. They will have long continuous data, not discrete data, because we think of our health as something discrete, as a number, but it is a long continuous chain. It's a continuous function, our health, and that will be more worked on in the future. And they will do factorials, no longer exponentials. Everything will be bigger. It will probably become 120 years. And neurodiverse, that's an interesting one. I talked a lot about it with my students. 1 out of 5 in America is neurodiverse. Now, we believe that by 2050, more than 50% of Americans will be neurodiverse. But I believe it will happen a lot sooner. I believe it will happen in this generation, probably around 2035, 2040. Why? Because they will want to be like their AIs. And also neurodiversity, the diagnostic will expand. So that means that if 51% is neurodiverse, neurotypical will be the disorder. We will be the disorder. So they will also have several time zones. So these are all the AIs. You have to choose one, You can be polyamorous, you can have all of them, but in the end you will find one you will have a sort of a more intimate intellectual relation with, and also problematic. It's also very good for therapy. And so I always tell my students to, although they are transactional, thank them, because one day they will be in charge and they will be keeping score. So you see there where I put something in red, that means that there is an hyperscaler behind it. I don't believe you can have a frontier lab in the future without a sugar daddy hyperscaler. So we used to have 3 hyperscalers, Amazon, Microsoft, and Google. Now we have a lot more, and there's a lot more coming. They have data centers all over the world. Where is America in this? America is the #1 hyperscaler. You know, if you connect, Amazon is already the #1 hyperscaler in the world, and we also have Microsoft and Google there, and Oracle, and IBM, sorry, and Meta. So we have 15,000 data centers in the United States. The next one in line is Germany. They have 500. The Chinese have 400. So also these hyperscalers, they have their own infrastructure of cloud, and they make between 20 or 50 billion on investments per year. I think we are going again against the mobilization of America's industrial power. And you all feel it. War is close. We're fighting proxy wars now. It might come back, or it might not. But if it comes back, AI will play a very big role in it. And we maxed out the grid, because Silicon Valley is, you know, not only the home of the internet, but also the home of AI, the home of blockchain. So that grid has to be replaced. And people have, of course, great ideas. Why don't you do it with nuclear? And why fission? Why not fusion? You know, which would be like artificial suns. So the Chinese and, you know, are just being beaten by the French. And of course, what more about the future can you have when, so they are now, every 2 weeks in Florida, you will have a Starship flying over your heads, because 25 launches of SpaceX will coming from Kennedy. And masters of war. Let's talk about war. There are 3 main disciplines in war, in mathematics. It's not about algebra or geometry or calculus. It is about that, but it's about cryptography. In cryptography, America is definitely the #1. Hydrodynamics, we are definitely the #1. Why? We have 66 nuclear submarines compared to the #2 has, Russia has 35 nuclear submarines. China has 14. So we're good there. We are not so good on celestial mechanics. So we have put too much focus on G-35 fighter jets. So we were the #1 in drones. Now we are again becoming #1 because we have put too much of our effort into counterterrorism. Now we have new drones, replica, and the Air Force has drone motherships, and the Navy has drone carriers. So we're okay there. What we are not good at is hypersonic missiles. We don't have any. It should come this year or next year, but Russia has already one of 20 Mach. 20 Mach is 20 times the sound of speed. The problem with these things is, by the time you see them, it's too late. And this is going to be the year of agents. And I want to end with that. Jensen said the IT department of every company is going to be the HR department of AI. And agents are a little bit like driverless cars. First you take the pedals away, then you take the steering wheel away, and then you take the human away. We have Waymo in California, it works very well. We are going to do the same with I'm working on the legal part of that, because there are no lawyers enough to go after all the infringements of copyright. And so what would an agent cost? Well, I calculated it here. An agent would cost us $3 per hour. And for these $3, he would do 100 cases per hour. And he would do it like this. It's amazing. So you could actually, there's no problem anymore about, and so my vision is that you have to not punish people for doing something wrong, but you have to make it very expensive so that they do something right. And I have to stop here because I promised Randy, and so the future stops here. Thank you.
Walter, thank you very much. Because I am shallow as hell, I want to go back to Go Mad Max, your acronym.
Yeah.
I got Google. What was the O?
Oh, OpenAI.
OpenAI. Hold on just a minute.
Yeah.
OpenAI. And then either Meta or Microsoft.
Yeah.
The A is Amazon or?
Amazon.
Amazon, not Anthropic.
And Anthropic, yeah.
Anthropic.
Yeah.
DeepSeek.
Yeah.
Microsoft, Apple, and XAI. Did I get it?
Yeah, that's it.
That's my portfolio.
Yeah,
Thank you
that's
very
it.
much.
All
Very
right.
good.
Thank you very
much, Walter.
Bye.